what's going on out there in the region. We have reporters all over the place this morning.
All right, here's Dwayne Parker joining us once again from Arlington Street in Reading. Hi, Dwayne. What's up there?
Good evening, Rob and Wendy. As you can see right now, the wind is just starting to pick up a little bit. If you can see in the distance, those trees, or just a minute ago, they were really swaying back and forth. Now, there were just a few comments in the chat room where people were concerned that maybe we were hyping up the coverage, but you might want to take a look at this image. If we can get that image up on screen right now. Do we have that image up? The image that you're looking at is in Kutztown on Industrial Avenue. That is flooding from the Saucony Creek, and cars are reported to be under or submerged under that water. So just another example of why you really cannot take this storm lightly. Like I was saying before, when we were on our way here, traveling on Route 422 westbound, the wind was able to topple a gigantic tree covering the entire right lane of 422 west between the Mount Penn exit and the Morgantown Expressway, and then further up 422 west, I think in Exeter Township, yet another tree was toppled. Also, on Strausstown Road between 419 and Pearl Road in Upper Tuppahawken Township, yet another line down, a utility line down due to the winds from this storm. And of course, you heard all the other power outages and problems on the streets that Vern was updating from the traffic center just a few minutes ago. So again, this is a storm that you really don't want to underestimate, even though right now it may seem in Berks County that we may be in a bit of a lull, like Ed was saying, and it appears that the storm may be moving out. It still hasn't moved out completely, so you might want to just take precaution. And just to show you, give you an example of what it looks like out here, I mean, just to run this live shot, to see these lights here, we use these lights to try to, you know, give you a better idea of what it looks like out here. And we actually have 5-pound sandbags to hold these down because the wind out here can be very swift at times and can easily knock over one of these light poles. So again, you don't want to underestimate this storm, and even though at the moment it may not seem to be raging, you just saw the image of cars underwater. Flooding is possible. Maybe we may not be experiencing a lot of flooding in Berks County, because if you remember just 2 days ago, there you see that wind picking up again. Can you see that, Matt? It's picking up right behind me. Maybe we may not be experiencing a lot of flooding in Berks County because just 2 days ago, hydrologists at Blue Marsh Lake decided to release 2 feet from the lake using their sophisticated dam. That dam is part of a sophisticated waterway control system that stretches all the way down to the Delaware River. And if the flooding is controlled in Berks County, it can also help minimize the flooding in places like Birdsboro and places like Pottstown and even in sections of Philadelphia. So thanks to the people at, thanks to the hydrologists and engineers at Blue Marsh Lake for releasing that water. Now they're able to store much more of the rains from this hurricane in Blue Marsh Lake, helping to minimize floods further downstream. So maybe that's probably why we haven't been experiencing a lot of floods here in Berks County. But like I said before, as you saw with that picture just a few minutes ago in Kutztown on Industrial Avenue, those cars are submerged underwater. Again, this storm, Hurricane Irene should not be underestimated, and precaution should be taken. Rob and Wendy.
All right, Dwayne, thanks very much. There is the situation in Reading. A lot of wind, not so much rain. Maybe things are calming down a little bit there. But as Dwayne also said, still best not to venture out. You don't know where you're going to turn a corner and find a bunch of water. Yeah,
trees down, wires down, also in a lot of spots, and that's causing problems.
Okay, let's check in for the first time this morning with WFMZ's Jaccii Farris.
She is joining us on the phone. She is in Easton this morning. Jaccii.
Good morning, guys. I'm right next to the point where the Lehigh meets the Delaware, and I have to tell you, we were out here, as you guys know, until just after midnight last night, and the level of the water is significant, very dramatic, and it's just raging. You can't see any of the markers, and you see huge, tree trunks going by, debris. It is just a sight to see. I just got off the phone with Mayor Sal Panto. He says there are a lot of road closures. Now, as you guys have been talking, they have evacuated, or they're in the process of evacuating Lehigh Drive, because the Lehigh and the Bushkill rivers are expected to crest today, from what the mayor says. He says that there's going to be a shelter that's going to be opening on the 1200 block of Northampton. That's going to happen around 9 o'clock. He says we're already seeing some flooding at G&J Mills in the 1400 block of Bushkill Drive. There is a wall, and the Bushkill is actually starting to spill over. So there is a full complement of police, fire, and street crews, and I've been seeing emergency vehicles zipping around town, going from one situation to another. We're hearing that, they're asking people to stay home, not to go out, because in the low-lying areas, this water is really starting to build up. So that's basically what we have going on here, and we'll try to get the live shot up, and so you can give you some pictures relatively soon.
Jaccii, thanks for the update. We appreciate that. Stay clear of that water.
Yeah, you bet.
Okay.
Thanks, Jaccii.
All right, now for Berks County residents, as you may...
While we're doing this as well.
All right, we're going to take a look at the situation in Allentown once again. Bo Koltnow has been in several situations this morning where it looked like a snorkel might be handy. Bo, how are things now?
Well, Rob and Wendy, I want to give people an idea, if you're just checking in this Sunday morning, of what it's like out here. I'm in the intersection of MLK Boulevard and Lehigh Street here in Allentown, and you can see this section right here is up to my waist. It's even deeper in other sections, and I'm going to have you look right over here behind me. Can you see the top of that? That's the top of a Saturn, and in the past 45 minutes, the water has continued to rise. That car is completely submerged except for a little bit of the roof. Now I'm going to walk over this way if we can see, because, guys, there's a second car that we noticed that has also been submerged. If you can see where that blue bin is, did they move the car? No, they did not. Okay, where that blue Pepsi bin is, just to the right, you can kind of make out the top of the vehicle. And in the past 20 minutes or so, they had some rescue crews take a boat, check that car out. Now, there wasn't believed to have been anybody inside of that car, but they just wanted to make sure. And at the same time, there was what I've been told is a good Samaritan. He brought out his kayak or his canoe. He was paddling around. He was checking the area out. But, guys, this just gives you an idea of what some sections here in Allentown are like. And I drove in this same area at 4 o'clock this morning to get to the station, and I could do it. Now, I've lived in this section of Allentown for the past 3.5 years. I have never seen it flood anything remotely close to this. And if you look behind me, you can see the Arboretum that is completely covered in water. And for those of you who are watching in other areas, the reason why this is happening here is, well, there's a little Lehigh is directly behind us. So that has obviously overflowed. It's taken sections of MLK Boulevard, both east and west here, and has completely covered the bridge. And again, there are 2 cars submerged in this area, and you guys can see it's up to my waist right now. And throughout the morning, we've seen people with big-time SUVs, people with the big trucks. I think they get a kick out of just driving through this standing water because they think it's fun. But I got to tell you, I don't know many cars that can make it through this unless it can turn into a boat. So, guys, that's the situation here in Allentown. Back to you in the studio.
Very true, Bo.
Unbelievable. You saw some water receding back in Mountainville, but it doesn't look like things are receding much there at MLK.
No, not at all. And like I just said a little bit ago, Rob, that car, the Saturn to my left, the water has risen just in the past 45 minutes or so, and it looks like it's actually risen into the Arboretum as well. So it's not getting any easier out here, I can tell you.
All right, thanks, Bo. Stay safe out there.
Wow.
Yeah, wow is right. We'll take a brief break in our coverage of Hurricane Irene.
Lehigh meets the Delaware River, and you can see, I'm going to step out a little bit, you can see it's raging. We're seeing a lot of debris and a lot of people coming out to check it out. The buoys are totally submerged. These 2 rivers are raging together right now. And it's just amazing, all the people that are coming out. I'm hearing a lot of, comments like, oh, my goodness, just people really shocked at the amount of water, the volume of water that we're seeing. Now, to kind of tell you what's going on, the rain has stopped here, but that doesn't mean that things have slowed down. Emergency officials are all over the place taking care of business. I got to tell you about some flooding. We got flooding in the 900 block of Center Street. It's closed. The 700 block of Line Street. Route 611 South is closed. Lehigh Drive, now you know that they evacuated some people that lived there earlier this morning. That's still underway. Bushkill Drive, the creek water is flowing over the roadway, so Bushkill to 13th Street is closed. There are a lot of trees down there, a lot of tree crews that are out there removing just huge trunks of trees, branches all over the place. You want to stay away from Iron and Wilkes-Barre Street, Washington Street at Cherry. Now, College Avenue, there is where a tree actually broke a fence and is lying across the roadway. Now, we talked a little bit about Lehigh Drive, and we talked all last night and this morning about not going around those barriers. Somebody went around a barrier, got stuck. Emergency crews had to go and rescue them. They towed the vehicle, and the driver is safe, but will receive a citation. So you just have to remember, it may look like nothing's going on. Maybe the water doesn't look very deep. Maybe, you know, you're going to someplace a block past the barrier. But you never know what's under that water. So the best bet is to turn around and find an alternative route. Now, anyone who's in a low-lying area right about now is probably packing up their stuff and moving to higher ground. That's a good idea. I talked to Mayor Salpanto this morning. He said that he's been touring the city, checking out the trouble spots, things like that, and that the big problem isn't the power outage, it's the water. The water is starting to creep into the city of Easton in many areas. If you look down this way, Tim, let's go down this way. The area where you put your boat in the water is almost up to street level, and you can see a bunch of med ed crews lining up, getting their orders to go out and try to take care of problems where tree branches fell on power lines and things like that, really trying to take care of business. Mayor Panto says today is going to be a very stressful day for everyone. The full complement, every firefighter, every police officer, every street public works person is on the job trying to make sure that everybody stays safe. We're going to get you some video in our next half hour of that the water going over the wall on Bushkill Drive. So we'll check you out in about half an hour.
Very good. Thanks for the update on that, Jackie.
All right. And Jackie mentioning the water rising there in the Delaware. For the most part, you can see people out walking around, not having a lot of trouble there yet. Different story in different parts of the region. Definitely in Allentown, a much different story.
Speaking of high water, Bo's been dealing with that, climbing up his body much of the day. Hey, Bo.
Hey, Rob and Wendy, as you guys can see, I've kind of stepped away from that high water. I'm on St. Elmo Street in Hamilton, right in front of the Ham Fam restaurant, and you can see that there is flooding here, there is water, but it is nowhere near as dramatic as it was on Martin Luther King Boulevard in Lehigh Street about an hour ago. Though, if we look down Hamilton, you can see that it is closed. There is a car right here that appears to have gotten stuck at some point this morning, but all in all, I think the water has started to recede from this area, but I'm going to bring you right over here, and you can see where the water is actually starting to pick up. If we look over here, now this is remnants from Cedar Beach Park, and this is flowing right into Union Terrace Park, right over the trees there. That is some very fast-moving water, similar to what we had early this morning on South 4th and 5th Street in Allentown. If you guys can remember that, I almost got swept off my feet earlier this morning. But the good news is here the rain has started to let up, the wind is down, and it appears to be that the water is down as well. But again, guys, if you are going down to that area of MLK Boulevard and Lehigh Street, that is completely submerged. If you weren't watching in the 8 o'clock hour, no hyperbole here, the water was literally up to my waist. There were 2 cars submerged, so if you can, stay away from that area. Log on to our website, WFMZ.com, or keep watching Rob and Wendy and the rest of us all morning long, because we will have constant updates throughout the Lehigh Valley and Berks County. Rob and Wendy, back to you guys in the studio.
All right, Bo, if you can hear us, if you could get another shot of that van behind you, that would be fantastic.
Because we have some video, apparently. Yeah, we have some video of that van covered before. So if your cameraman could just...
covered.
Yeah,
I'm
we have
sure
some video
of that van covered.
Hey, so, Zach, can you show the van? So obviously the water has receded a great deal. great deal now because it's only not even covering the tires.
All right, this is covering is a little strong of a word, but it was certainly higher than it was.
Yeah, maybe up to the bumper or a little past the bumper.
Yeah,
or so.
and we had a rear view of it, I guess, back at that point. So we just wanted to compare that. Your water is coming down a bit, which is good news. All right, thank you, Bo. We'll be checking back in with you, of course. There's the look at it now. Water's down a bit. Yeah,
so that is a good thing. Ed was talking about that, how it's starting to recede and things starting to slow down out there.
Seen yet, all is not normal today on Normal Avenue in Kutztown, Berks County.
Yeah, lots of flooding there today where the road meets Industrial Avenue. It's creating some excitement for Kutztown University students who are just settling in for their new school year.
I guess so.
I didn't think it was going to flood this bad. We were warned to move our cars from that side of the street to this side of the street, and I'm glad I live on this side of the street because my car's safe over there.
That's a good thing. A lot of cars not safe today. You can see this car got stuck in the mess right there in the middle of the road. Others parked nearby also wound up deep in the floodwaters there. As you can see that it is starting to go up right over that fire hydrant there. So it is a deep in spots even in Berks County.
Yeah, it is a mess in a lot of different places this morning. And I mentioned there were evacuations at Bethlehem and Easton, Hellertown. In fact, let's talk about Hellertown here. Hurricane Irene has prompted some folks to flee to higher ground there.
Earlier this morning, firefighters told residents of an apartment complex in the 700 block of Front Street that they had to get out. The Saucon Creek had overflowed its banks. Emergency crews didn't want to waste any time.
The waters were rising pretty quickly, and there's no telling exactly how far it'll rise from here. So we thought it was important to get them out now as opposed to waiting on it.
Well, 13 people in the end had to be taken to the firehouse to wait out the storm.
All right, you're looking at a photo from Easton. Of course, that's where our two major rivers meet, the Lehigh and the Delaware. And this from our live chat today, and a photo I'm not sure if this is actually from one of our crews or submitted by a viewer, but it's a part of the live chat. In fact, it's viewer Jen Richardson, I'm told,
very nice,
who has
Jen.
submitted the photo. Thank you for that, Jen. You can do as Jen has done and submit photos to us through
All right, and welcome back this morning. And just a note, Hurricane Irene now tropical storm Irene. She
has been downgraded.
Yeah, running out of some steam as she makes her way into Manhattan.
And hard to believe that coming into New York and going into and touching New Jersey as a hurricane. And what a day it's been so far. We want to show you some of the scenes in the area. Lynn Township, Lehigh County. Downed trees and flooding there are making travel tricky. This video from Lynn Township, as I mentioned. Irene brought down a couple of big trees, and they landed right in the middle of the road. That means no one's getting by for a little while. Also, Ontolani Creek. It looked more like a raging river today. Take a look. It overflowed its banks and nearly swallowed a park bench in the process there. There's the bench and the raging Ontolani.
And a lot of the same up in Slanington. Down trees and wires made some of the roads there impassable. In other cases, massive puddles did the trick. Route 873, real mess. You can see what that looked like when our cameras were there just a few hours ago. In some cases, we saw the water has gone up from where it was in a few hours. In other places, it's gone down. So depends.
And some of those, when they get too big, don't they go beyond the classification of puddle?
Probably.
Probably they do.
So.
Let's take a look at another road that's been turned into a river by Irene.
Yeah, this is Route 412 and Commerce Way. This is in Bethlehem, right outside of Hellertown. And now this is usually a really busy stretch of road, but as you can see, not the case today. They have the barricades up. No, not a puddle. Emergency officials have blocked this road. Drivers have no choice now but to go around, and that is the case in so many places today.
We've been telling you about water rescues today. Here's one that we shot earlier in Bethlehem Township in Northampton County, just before the sun was up. It's hard to see exactly what's happening here in the 3500 block of Hecktown Road. Our crew told us that 5 or 6 people with special needs who are in a home there, I believe a group home, they had to be rescued because water was coming into the group home. So 5 or 6 people, special needs folks, had to be taken out from here. We are told that everyone got out of that home okay. All right, Bethlehem Township. And of course, the city of Easton preparing for the Delaware to spill over its banks. As you take a look at a live Skycam view, the Delaware and the Lehigh come together there, of course, and we saw a few moments ago people who were watching, as they often do when the big floods come in Easton. They'll get along the river, and as the breezes blow, they're just stand and watch what's happening with the rivers as they slowly rise. And Mayor Panto told us a little while ago that it's expected that the river will crest by 2 p.m. tomorrow.
Yes. Wow.
The city has ordered a mandatory evacuation of homes in low-lying parts along the Lehigh River, the area they call the Flats there, Lehigh Drive in Easton, and also along the Bushkill Creek because of the threat of flooding.
And that evacuation order includes G.J. Mills in the 1400 block of Bushkill Drive and the Delaware River crest at 32 feet, where it's expected. Rob mentioned at 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Mayor Sal Panto said the flooding would be similar to the flooding that we saw in Easton back in 2004.
And that would be about 10 feet above flood stage. And Ed pointed out earlier, 7th highest flood ever recorded in Easton if it does come to hit 30.
We were showing you a video of the Monocacy and the Lehigh. Now we're going to get a live look at the Delaware.
Yep, Jaccii Farris live once again in Easton. How's it going, Jaccii?
Hi guys, my hearing is going in and out here, so I'm just going to go ahead and start and let you know that this is quite the tourist site right now. Everybody's come out of hiding from the storm to take a look at where the Lehigh meets the Delaware. You can see a lot of fury here. We've been watching a lot of large tree trunks and a lot of debris just floating along like they were toothpicks. And the fury of what you're seeing here is really causing some concern for city leaders. We spoke with Mayor Sal Panto just a few moments ago. He was telling us that there have been a lot of evacuations. Lehigh Drive, for instance, the flatlands around the area. He says that the flooding has already begun. Right now, the Lehigh is expected to crest sometime before noon today. We're being told that the Delaware is expected to crest, according to Mayor Sal Panto, around 2 o'clock tomorrow, and that tomorrow is really going to be a huge test of Easton's strength in terms of being able to make sure people in low-lying areas are completely evacuated and that emergency personnel are able to get where they need to go to take care of business. Easton is on a full complement until 1 o'clock this afternoon, says Mayor Panto. He says tomorrow they may call more people in depending upon how bad the flooding is, and he says he expects it's going to be pretty bad. As I told you, there are a lot of people that are evacuating from their homes, and we did send in some video to the station. Hopefully you guys can roll that. It's video of Bushkill Drive. Photojournalist, no video. Okay, well, hopefully we'll be able to bring that to you later. But photojournalist Tim Cox went down there, and this is the 1400 block is where he went, and what he saw was waist-high, if not higher, water. He saw a van that was almost completely submerged. There was an elevated townhome with the water lapping at the front door. He spoke to a gentleman who said that he didn't think it would come up that high to his front door, and so he really didn't make any preparations. He thought he was high enough. He thought he was elevated enough. But at the last minute, when he woke up, he had to grab a lot of his belongings and run up to the second floor. He was talking about one of his neighbors, an elderly woman who was having problems. She's on the first floor, hoping that someone would come and rescue her. They were told, apparently, from what Tim says, and of course Tim is the guy running the camera, so you don't really get to see him. Tim says that a lot of them were trying to wade through the water to get out because they didn't get out in time, and that's why it's important. If you're in a low-lying area, get out before the water gets to your front door. Okay, so we do have the video. Let's go ahead and take a look at this video. I can't see it. I don't have a monitor, but I can tell you it really boggles the mind to realize just a few days ago this was an average street, and now water is covering vehicles and lapping up to, you know, the front door of someone's home. And it just kind of spells out why it's so important. When you get that reverse 911 call from the city or from the county, or when a firefighter or a police officer knocks on your door, they're not doing it to be nice, they're doing it because they want to save your life. And it's important that you listen, pack up your things, and go. The next couple of days are going to be really tough, so if you get a phone call or a knock on the door, please listen to the firefighters and the police officers and get to higher ground. Now, I want to show you what's going on here. I was mentioning that this was kind of like a tourist destination for the area. You can see all these people. This is what's been going on all morning long. People that have just come out of, you know, watching it on television, they want to see it. And I'm hearing a lot of comments from people, you know, about what the situation is and their thoughts. And can I ask you guys a couple quick questions? What's your name, ma'am?
My name's Beth.
Beth, what is your take on what you're seeing this morning?
Well, I'm worried about the businesses down here. I know Bushkill Park was trying to get up and going, and they're not able to do that once again because of the stream being.
Now, where do you live in the city, and did you see any flooding? Or
I live in Palmer Township. No, just some leaves down and things like that.
Down? Well, thankfully. Thank you so much for joining us. And basically, we want to leave you with this one thought. If you get a call to evacuate, do so. And if you see a barricade, do not go around it. We had a guy on Lehigh Drive that went around it, got stuck, had to be rescued by the police, and is now facing a $100 citation. Mayor Salpanto says if you get caught going around a barrier, you will shell out some dough. Back to you.
Okay, Jaccii, thanks very much. What is seen in Easton, unfortunately, as all too often happens when this big weather system comes through, that the Delaware starts to rise, and that's what people are concerned about. And of course, the smaller rivers and creeks like the Bushkill have already done their rising, and the Bushkill was the dramatic video that Jaccii couldn't see, but Jaccii, it was kind of dramatic. Yeah. The Bushkill just seems to fly out everywhere once it gets over its banks.
A lot of water all over the area today.
Yep, that is true. In Allentown, the mayor is looking over the damage caused by Irene in his city, and he says things in the city may be a mess for a while.
We've met up with the mayor here at Lehigh and Auburn streets. A lot of homes and businesses flooded in that area. He says residents can help the city by simply staying home, staying out of the way, so power, emergency, and cleanup crews can get to work.
It's a pretty bad situation here. It's going to take a lot of cleanup. It's going to be a couple weeks before all this is, the water recedes and all this is cleaned up. And you.
The mayor says he's concerned for his fellow Lehigh Valley residents over in Easton. He says he fears they're the ones who are going to see the worst of this flooding. Pulowski says he's reached out to Easton Mayor Salpanto to assure him that Allentown is going to help out the people of Easton in every way possible.
Yep. As you look again at what I think was the Bushkill Creek flooding that Jaccii was just showing us, so that is trouble. And of course, the Lehigh River and the Delaware River meet in Easton, and the Lehigh is expected to crest sometime today. So the folks in that, excuse me, flats area of Lehigh Drive have probably seen the worst of it, or maybe close to getting to that point. But the Delaware, right around the corner there, is where the trouble lies. And I think that's probably what Mayor Pulowski is thinking about. The next day or two, things may be okay for now for Allentown and Bethlehem, but in the next day or so, Easton gets it.
Yeah. And that crest, Delaware crests tomorrow afternoon, so still have some time to see what happens there.
Yep. All right, we'll see how high it goes. Ed mentioned 32 feet, now down to 31 in the projected crest of the Delaware, so a little bit of good news for Easton. Just a little bit ago, we were showing you some viewer photos of the flooded Monocacy Creek in Bethlehem that you could see and access through our live chat.
Now we can show you what it looks like live. We have a crew out there to give you a first-hand look, and then John Craven standing by live. John, what can you tell us?
Well, good morning, Wendy. Yeah, the Monocacy Creek, you know, a lot of people were worried about it. Tends to flood a lot. Take a look behind me and you can see it. It's pretty flooded out here. If you remember Music Fest just a little bit ago, this same area flooded pretty badly, sent a lot of vendors running for cover. This is actually an improvement over what it was about 2 or 3 hours ago. Cars were literally covered all the way to their rooftops up here, and now we're seeing the water recede a little bit. So the news is a little bit better here than it was over in Easton when you're talking to Jaccii Farris. We've seen a pretty good crowd of people come out to the bridge here on Broad Street to take pictures, and here is one of them. We've been talking to her, Dana McMurray, right?
Yes.
So Dana, why'd you come out this morning?
I had to come out, not by choice, but because I have to go to work. But luckily, it seems like we didn't get the worst of what they were predicting for us, so we just be thankful for that. We just happened to be passing over Broad Street and saw a group of people kind of gathered and congregating here by the bridge and thought, well, let's get out and see what's going on. And so this is pretty much the worst of what I've seen. I live in Whitehall, so I drove past and over the Lehigh River this morning. Didn't seem to be that high, but sometimes when you go to lower ground, it's a whole different story.
And how about road closures? Did you see a lot of that?
Road closures, we were fine in Whitehall. I'm on my way actually to Emmaus right now, so I'll get to see a lot more on the drive, but I'm hoping, keeping my fingers crossed, that we'll be okay and, you know, just be thankful for the fact that we didn't get as bad as we were supposed to, and just keep our prayers open for the people who really did get hammered.
Yeah, and speaking of that, Dana, you said your dad lives down on the Jersey Shore, right?
Yeah, my dad, I grew up at the Jersey Shore. We've been through plenty of these storms down there, but my dad is actually about 5 miles outside of Ocean City, New Jersey, where they did predict that the water, actually, we're going to get like, I guess they call that inland coastal flooding, and they did get quite a bit of trees down there, a lot of wind, a lot worse than we got, but they're alive.
All right, well, that's good news for all of us today.
When there's a hurricane in New Jersey, we have a party. So I'm trying to get the spirit together here, too. We'll see what happens at work today.
Well, you know, there are a couple more hours left today,
Absolutely.
Right? All right, Dana, thanks so much.
Thanks so much. Take care.
All right, so that's the story out here. Again, you know, things looking pretty ominous over in Easton right now. It looks like here in downtown Bethlehem, things are improving. Of course, you know, that can always change as some of that water comes from the upstream townships down here. But at least for now, folks out here who've been here for a couple of hours, Rob and Wendy, say that things are starting to recede here in downtown Bethlehem. Back to you.
All right,
well, that's good to hear.
Yep, nice to see you. Don't have to have an umbrella out there, John. Things are calming down a bit. All right. A little bit, yeah. Thanks. John Craven reporting. As we said, viewers have been sending in photos of the flooding of the Monocacy Creek, and here are some of those pictures now. This is very similar, of course, to the view that John was just showing us live from the bridge on Broad Street there, as you look down upon the Monocacy spilling over its banks, and just another view a little wider of the same thing. And, of course, this has meant trouble for the Colonial Historic District in Bethlehem. Yeah. Those historic buildings from colonial days. That's such a neat little part of the downtown part of Bethlehem. And you see the water, and of course that's a low part of the city. And the creek, the Monocacy rises, and this is what happens. As we go through some of the viewers' photos contributed through live chat today, more of that same historic area, the colonial district.
Yeah, and you can see in the background there a car.
Yep.
Just to give you an idea of just how deep it is, almost up to the windshield there, at least over the door up to the driver's side window. So a little problem there. This is the historic quarter in Bethlehem. All of this caused by the Monocacy and everything down there. And once again, another look at that area.
Yep. I guess they have gotten pretty good at drying out and restoring these historic buildings, because so many times we've seen the water come up like this and go around and into those buildings. Again, images from our viewers of the Monocacy Creek in Bethlehem. So thank you for sending those, and just so you know, as we see another high up view of the flooded Monocacy, that the live chat has been so